everyone, testing my last ride of the day here, the 2017 Honda Rebel 300. Basically the reincarnation of the old popular Honda Rebels with a bit of a bump of power. And got a side ignition there. Let's get it fired up. So unlike the CBR 300R and the CB 300F, this one has a four-way hazard on here. But otherwise, a flash to pass to. So there is more tech in this one than the two modern 300s. I would call them the modern 300s. It's a bit hard to get into first gear there, but got it in. Well, this is different. It's a cruiser. Okay, not too bad. So, backstory on me with cruisers here. When I went to riding school, you know, like all riding schools, they have these little 250 cruisers, and I hated them. I sat on one for a little bit, tried to go on it, went like 5 meters, said, I'm not riding this thing. This is my first time on a cruiser on the street, and it's not too bad. The seating position is a lot nicer than what was on the old Rebel 250s. Now, while we do have the addition of flash to pass and also the four-way flashers here, big omission is the tachometer. So you're very much shifting by engine sound here, which I believe most people do that anyway. I do like the clean look overall of this bike. It looks fantastic. The round mirrors I wish were a little bit more wide angle. And again, we're just waiting for some people to catch up here, so I got my four-way hazards in play. So this particular bike appears to be equipped with ABS brakes, or maybe not. Oh no, I see the speed sensors on the brakes there. Now the engine is pretty much a carryover from what's in the CBR 300R and the CB 300F, with one exception. They have slightly they've changed the tune for this engine to have less horsepower at the top end, but you do get more torque at the low end there. And I think the idea there is that people who ride cruisers don't want to be shifting all the time, so they're looking at getting some more low-end torque like most cruisers do, especially the big ones. It's a very decent bike overall. I mean, a lot of the people who like cruisers will probably love this bike here. But being 6'1" and 225 pounds, if that makes any difference here, I feel kind of cramped on this bike. Not as bad as the old Rebel 250s, but still pretty cramped. That low end torque is kind of nice. Like, even though it sounded like the engine was lugging, the engine still had a decent amount of go in it. The suspension is definitely a little different from the CBR 300R and CB 300F variants. It feels a little softer. And I think the idea there is that cruiser riders will not be cornering on this thing a whole lot. But other than the slightly soft suspension setting, it corners like any other Honda, in my opinion here. You can kind of feel that extra torque, and it's actually pretty nice. it's a difference between that effortless low end torque and, you know, having to rev a little bit higher with the sport bike variants. And it's not that it's really high revving or anything. I think all the bikes, all the 300s redline pretty low, but oh, there's that nummy feeling again. You've got that nummy feeling. Whoa, that numbing feeling. So the seating position here, I mean, it looks like a bobber style cruiser, but I would say the seating position, or the leg position at least, is more like a Triumph Bonneville. That's how I can best describe it. It's not quite standard where your feet are directly under you. It's not quite cruiser where your feet are way forward of you, but you got a nice, you know, the knees are 90 degrees. You got my other leg down there also at 90 degrees, so it's very much a Bonneville style, although a lot smaller Bonneville. Technically I feel a little cramped, but I don't think it's a huge issue to me because I'm used to driving compact cars. My current car is a Mazda 3 and I'm extremely bent in that car, so maybe that's why I'm used to it. The seat is surprisingly good. It's a very wide seat, so I feel like, you know, there's a lot more cushion for my cushions. The riding position actually makes me feel like a Rebel. Maybe that's why they named it the Rebel. That is very punny. The rear brake pedal is not very, or it might be a little difficult for me to grasp there. It's very hard to actuate the rear brakes. It's a continuing issue here. I mean, I guess there's no chance to lock up the rear brakes in that case, but this bike is equipped with ABS, so even if there was a chance there, ABS would kick in. I gotta say, I'm going to like this bike. It's surprisingly fun. It is